There's something quietly powerful about the moment we realize how easily life can drift forward without us noticing the small spaces growing between the people we love. Many films try to capture that feeling through conflict or dramatic twists, but this story takes a gentler, more thoughtful approach. It invites us to look closely at the subtle ways routine can reshape a relationship and how rediscovering connection doesn't require grand gestures, only a willingness to pause and truly see each other again. When we meet Mina and Kenji, nothing seems unusual on the surface. They've been married for years, sharing meals, responsibilities, and the kind of familiar rhythm that makes everyday life feel steady. But it's precisely in that steadiness that they begin to sense something shifting. Conversations become shorter, moments together turn quieter, and their once natural closeness feels slightly muted. Not in a dramatic or painful way, just a kind of gentle distance that slowly appears when life becomes busy. Schedules get tight, and both people assume the other will always be there. This film doesn't portray their experience as a problem or a crisis. Instead, it frames it as a very human moment, one that many couples face as they navigate work, family, and the simple passage of time. What makes it compelling is how Mina and Kenji respond, not with blame or frustration, but with curiosity and care. They don't want to fix each other. They want to understand what they've lost sight of and how to bring warmth back into the little corners of their day. Their opportunity comes in the most unexpected form: a community camping trip hosted by neighbors in their local area. It's the kind of event that many people overlook simple, friendly, perhaps even ordinary. But when Mina suggests they join, she sees something hopeful in the idea, a chance to step away from routine, a moment to breathe, a space to reconnect not just as partners, but as two individuals who once enjoyed discovering new things together. Kenji, on the other hand, hesitates, not because he's uninterested or unhappy, but because he feels the weight of familiarity. He wonders if a camping trip can really make a difference. He questions whether stepping out of their usual patterns will feel refreshing or simply uncomfortable. But even in that uncertainty, he shows something meaningful: commitment. He chooses to go because he understands that time spent together, especially outside the routine, might open a door they hadn't realized was closing. The film takes its time here, allowing us to settle into their emotional landscape. There's no urgency, no dramatic push. Instead, the tone is warm, reflective, and gently paced. We watch as Mina packs their things with soft excitement, hoping the trip will give them space to slow down. We watch Kenji observe her with quiet appreciation, recognizing that her hopefulness is a sign of love, not dissatisfaction. What makes this introduction compelling is its authenticity. Many stories jump directly into conflict, but this film chooses a different path: connection through presence. It highlights that healing and emotional growth don't always come from dramatic events. They often come from simple choices, everyday decisions to care, and moments where we intentionally reach towards someone we may have unintentionally drifted away from. By the time Mina and Kenji are ready to leave for the community camping trip, something has already begun to shift. Not dramatically, but gently, like the first breeze of a season beginning to change. They're stepping into something new, not because their relationship is broken, but because they both understand that relationships thrive when nourished with attention, kindness, and shared experiences. And that's what makes this story so relatable. It welcomes viewers of all ages to reflect on how small acts of effort can rekindle warmth in any relationship, family, friendship, or partnership. It encourages us to notice the people around us, to value shared moments, and to remember that connection grows when we give it the chance. When Mina and Kenji arrive at the community campsite, the atmosphere feels different from anything in their usual routine. There's a gentle hum of excitement in the air, neighbors greeting each other, the soft sound of tents being set up, and the unmistakable scent of fresh pine carried on a cool breeze. It's the kind of environment that instantly slows the pace of life, as if nature itself is offering permission to breathe more deeply. The film captures this shift beautifully. Instead of rushing the scene, it lets the couple take in the moment with quiet curiosity. Mina steps out of the car first, her face lighting up at the sight of families preparing campfires and friends chatting over warm drinks. She looks around with a mix of hope and relief, almost as if she's reassuring herself that this was a good decision, an opportunity to reset. Kenji, meanwhile, stands still for a moment longer. He observes everything with a thoughtful expression, trying to absorb this unfamiliar yet peaceful setting. His hesitation begins to soften, replaced by a subtle sense of wonder. It's not that he suddenly feels completely comfortable, but the openness of the environment, the friendly smiles, the welcoming energy starts to melt away the initial uncertainty he carried. One of the film's strengths is how it highlights the importance of community without overwhelming the personal story. As Mina and Kenji begin to interact with the people around them, we see how small connections can create a sense of belonging. Next to them, an elderly neighbor, Mr. Sato, offers them homemade tea, explaining that he brings it every year as his way of contributing to the event. These interactions aren't dramatic or exaggerated. They're simple, genuine moments that remind viewers of the value of kindness. The film uses these scenes to show how being part of a supportive community can quietly ease the emotional distance that sometimes forms inside a family. Mina laughs softly as she fumbles with the tent stakes, and Kenji, noticing her playful frustration, steps in to help. They share a brief smile, the kind that carries both familiarity and warmth, and it's clear that something inside them is beginning to brighten. As the day unfolds, the couple participates in various group activities organized by the community leaders. There's a nature walk led by a local guide who shares stories about the forest's wildlife. There's a creative workshop where families paint small wooden plaques symbolizing gratitude. Mina joins in with genuine enthusiasm, while Kenji, initially reserved, finds himself unexpectedly enjoying the experience. One particularly charming moment occurs during a simple team-building game. Mina and Kenji are paired together, and the challenge encourages them to communicate and support each other. Their teamwork isn't flawless, but that becomes part of the charm. They laugh at their mistakes, cheer each other on, and rediscover the lightheartedness they had long overlooked. This scene is crafted with a soft, uplifting tone, emphasizing how shared experiences, especially joyful ones, can subtly rebuild emotional closeness. And then comes one of the most beautifully shot sequences in the film. the evening around the campfire. As the sun dips behind the mountains and the sky shifts into deep shades of purple and blue, the community gathers for a relaxed night of stories and warm food. The glow of the campfire illuminates faces with a soft golden warmth, creating a sense of comfort and unity. Mina sits close to Kenji, listening as neighbors share memories of past camping trips. Kenji watches the flames dance, feeling an unexpected calm settling inside him. He realizes that, in this place, away from deadlines and daily rush, he can hear his own thoughts more clearly, and in those thoughts, he finds a renewed appreciation for Mina's efforts to bring them here. What makes this section so emotionally resonant is its focus on small, meaningful shifts. Nothing dramatic happens, yet everything changes. The couple isn't radically transformed, but the openness of the environment, the kindness of the community, and the joy of shared activities begin to guide them back toward each other. Through soft laughter, gentle conversations, and moments of quiet presence, they start to feel more connected, not because someone told them to, but because they allowed themselves to experience life together again. The excitement here isn't loud or exaggerated. It's the excitement of rediscovery, the feeling of noticing something familiar becoming beautiful again. And as the night deepens, Mina and Kenji share a peaceful sense of hope, quietly understanding that this trip may become far more meaningful than they expected. As the second morning of the camping trip unfolds, the film gently shifts into a more reflective mood, not dramatic in a harsh way, but in a thoughtful, emotionally honest direction. This is where Mina and Kenji begin confronting the quiet truths they've been carrying, not through conflict, but through subtle moments that reveal what has been left unsaid. Mina and Kenji join in, sharing tea with Aiko and Haru, listening to stories from Mr. Sato, and enjoying the calmness of the forest. But even in this serene atmosphere, the film introduces a moment of introspection. During a group activity, simple reflection exercise where participants write down something they're grateful for, Kenji finds himself staring at the blank card in his hand. Around him, everyone seems at ease, jotting down thoughts with quiet confidence. Mina finishes hers quickly, her handwriting soft and expressive. She looks peaceful, reflective. Kenji, however, hesitates. It's not that he lacks gratitude. In fact, he feels an overwhelming amount of it. But putting it into words makes him suddenly aware of how long it has been since he last expressed his feelings openly. Instead of writing immediately, he sits still, the sounds around him fading into the background as he reflects on the past few years, the busy schedules, the predictable routines, the automatic "I'm fine" responses, the moments he brushed aside because he thought they could wait. A gentle realization that the distance he felt didn't appear overnight. It grew quietly over time, one postponed conversation at a time. And now, he finds himself wanting to change that. Mina notices something different about Kenji. He seems quieter than before, not distant, but contemplative. And in that moment, something inside Kenji opens. Not dramatically, but naturally, as if the forest's calm has loosened the knots he didn't realize he'd been holding. The forest around them creates a sense of safety, as if nature itself is encouraging honesty. They walk side by side, carrying the quiet relief of two people who finally feel heard again. The emotional shift in this section isn't about conflict, it's about realization. The drama lives in their vulnerability, their willingness to face their own feelings, and their choice to rebuild connection through openness rather than tension. And in doing so, they discover that healing often begins with understanding, not confrontation. As the camping trip enters its final evening, the film shifts into a beautifully reflective tone. There's a comforting sense of closeness in the air, not just among the community, but within Mina and Kenji themselves. It's as if the past few days have gently peeled away layers of routine, revealing the simple truth that connection grows strongest when nurtured with intention. The evening begins with a community gathering where everyone sits in a loose circle around a large central campfire. Mina and Kenji sit together, a little closer than they had on the first night. Not because the film forces symbolism, but because their body language has naturally shifted after the quiet realizations of the day. Their smiles are easier now, their conversations warmer. Even their silences feel different, comfortable, not distant. In this serene setting, the community leader invites everyone to share one insight or lesson they've gained from the trip. Not mandatory, not pressured, just an open invitation to reflect. Mina admits that she didn't realize how much she missed simply sitting with Kenji and watching the world around them. Kenji mentions how stepping away from familiar routines allowed him to see things more clearly. He realized the connection doesn't fade suddenly, it fades quietly, in small, unnoticed ways. And rebuilding it doesn't require fixing anything dramatic. It requires presence, listening, and the willingness to show appreciation even for ordinary moments. He expresses gratitude not just for the trip, but for the opportunity to rediscover a sense of ease with himself and with Mina. Meaningful connection isn't something that magically appears. It grows slowly, through shared experiences, deliberate attention, and the willingness to see each other, not just as partners, but as individuals who continue to learn and evolve. They've discovered that healing and clarity don't always require major change. Sometimes they simply require time, presence, and the courage to open up. Relationships flourish when we nurture them with consistency, understanding, and gratitude. And the journey toward deeper connection often begins with one simple choice: to pause, to listen, and to show up wholeheartedly. The trip didn't transform their lives overnight, but it reminded them that connection grows through presence, appreciation, and shared experience. Their journey becomes a gentle call to all of us. Slow down, look closer, and make space for the people who matter. Healing often begins with the smallest step forward.